Hey folks, back again with ancient cosmography. And so here we have like an up close and personal look at this god from Lascaux. It's part of probably the most iconic cave painting on Earth, or anywhere on any planet that I'm aware of cave painting happening on. But yeah, so this basically was painted retrograde. So I had to, just like the Egyptian maps, a lot of them are painted retrograde, basically flipped inside out in a certain way, or basically this is the actual painting on the wall in Lascaux, in the Lascaux caves. And so in this painting, it's like, just as in the ancient Egyptian ones, Australia is prograde and the surrounding islands are retrograde. So that's a common theme, like in Egyptian maps, where if there's a major archipelago but there's one island that's the main island, that island will often be prograde, but all these surrounding islands will be retrograde. I'm not exactly sure why that is. But yeah, basically to compare this, what I had to do was flip these retrograde to make it, match. Because these actually don't look like this. These are actually face the other direction. So, that's why in this one, I flipped this to be prograde, just like it actually is from a bird's eye view. And so we have these seem to be the front legs are Sulawesi, basically all of Sulawesi. And it even shows, because Sulawesi isn't actually attached to, I'm sure there's seamounts and little islands and stuff between there, but there's also water between there. And it actually shows that. It actually shows that the legs are detached. There's a little break right there. And then the head is this peninsula right here. And I'll try to find out what it's actually called. And then it has these 6 islands in front of the head. So I can see 1, 2, and there's a bunch more. It might actually be 3 here and 3 up here, or 3 here and 3 down here, or it's hard to exactly know. But, it shows that this, that the head is attached to this part, which is relatively solid land right here, but that behind that, its body, the god's body, is a mix of land and water. So just as it shows it in the ancient Egyptian map, it shows the Philippines as a god whose body is kind of divided up into a bunch of little things. Similarly here, it shows it, as a bunch of separate islands here. And then I'm guessing this here is this part of Northern Philippines, Luzon, or I'm not sure what this is. And then I'm guessing that this right here is Taiwan, because I mean I would guess that the back legs could be this, but the reason I suspect it's Taiwan is just because the body is so long. Like the body is significantly longer than Papua here. The body of Papua, which only really can make sense if it includes, or to me, it makes the most sense if it includes Taiwan. So, and that would also make sense, the fact that it has only one back foot as opposed to the two front feet for these two peninsulas of Sulawesi. It seems that this heel right here is this part of Sulawesi, this peninsula, and this heel is this part of this peninsula right here. So then, and then this being going up to the leg. So yeah, it's one of the most ancient depictions of a god. And this would be an important god, because you could get, if you're trying to go to Australia, you can just island hop all the way from China, all the way from Taiwan. Taiwan is right off the coast of China. You can go China mainland to Penghu Archipelago to Taiwan, then island hop along the little islands between Taiwan and northern Philippines, which apparently is where, the bunch of Chinese Navy is right now, and, the U.S. is pissed because they, have bases, everywhere here, probably. So, yeah, I hope these cunts don't fucking blow the world up. But yeah, there you go. And it's hard to know, how involved this cosmology, symbolism is, if there were stories to go along with this, or if it was just the images. So yeah, here you see the head, and it's so striking because, one reason I'm pretty certain of this is because it's so distinctive, the head is so weird looking, and it's so much smaller than the feet. Tell me an animal whose feet are twice the size of its head. I don't know of any animal like that. So, maybe a kangaroo or something. I don't know. Probably not. I doubt their head is that small. So, when something is very weird and unnatural, then it gives a good indication that it's symbolic and that it symbolizes, something like this. And of course, it matches up very well. And so, yeah, this is Papua, also called New Guinea. And, I was thinking that, another, possibility that I guess I was considering was that somehow that one was that this guy is New Zealand. And it's funny how, I was thinking about how we think, or a lot of us in the West kind of think of Australia and New Zealand as the two places right near each other. But actually, no. Actually, Australia is right next to New Guinea. And just because New Guineans are, they don't have an Anglo government, they're not part of the British Commonwealth, so that's just kind of ignored. even though it's like 100 times closer to Australia than New Zealand is. New Zealand's like way off on its own, like towards Antarctica. So I was thinking, in a way, this one, it just fits better for the feet. That's the only way that it really fits better. That you could say these 2 feet are these two peninsulas here, and then his dick is like this peninsula here, and then his head would be like Stewart Island right there, which is kind of at that angle. The fact that the upper and lower jaws or lips or whatnot are delineated and separated there isn't that great for this one, because even though you could kind of argue that, like, it's not an obvious thing. You could argue that there's a separation in the tip of the beak of this Stewart Island, but it's certainly not obvious. And also, even though this head is small in proportion to the body, it's obviously not this small, so that would have implied that, the head is enlarged or the body is shrunk or something. Whereas in this case, with Papua, the head is somewhat small compared to the body, but it's relatively similar proportions, you could say. So yeah, I mean, in terms of the feet, I'm not exactly sure like what is how literal that is, if it just has to have that exact angle, or if it just is referring to the tip of this peninsula here. But also just the fact that he's right next to Australia suggests that it's Papua, because again, like, New Zealand is way off up here or something, like pretty far from Australia, compared to Papua is like right up next to it, like humping it basically. Like I had to make this image of Australia, I had to cut it right at the coast, because if you don't cut it immediately at the coast, it will include Papua, because Papua is right here. So, they changed the angle in that sense, that if, I guess you could say maybe that is an argument for it being New Zealand, because it's on the other side. But I don't think so. I think they just rearranged the angle a bit and then made these guys retrograde. And yeah. And for Australia, it seems that there's a little like pointy peninsula right there, and maybe another one there that could represent these horns. And his face in here even could represent some of this kind of green part in here. I don't know. And so yeah, York Peninsula would be the front legs. And then I'm guessing this part is this area down here. And this shape is so exact, almost like if you look at the shape of all of this, it's like matches so well. And then yeah, this hair stuff seems to be the really shallow areas, I'm guessing. And it even seems to show potentially this bay or this gulf or whatever. Forget what it's called. And it might show, up here, this stuff might include Tasmania. But, yeah. I think I changed the tint of the photo, which is pretty much good for everything except showing that gulf here, because that's now less visible. What can you do? And then this bird and this thing, it's like, I think it's this stuff down here, like basically New Ireland. And then I'm not sure, the bird is maybe this island or something. I should find out what that's called. Rubber ducky, you're the one. Let's see. All right, so there you go. Some of the oldest gods, depictions of gods. See, this is why people used to honor the gods. This is why our ancestors honored the gods, because the gods are the, nature. Like literally nature, not just like, some abstract like nature spirit. But no, it's like every island you step foot on, every river you sail down is a god. So, let's see, here's a close-up of the Philippines. So here's mainland China is here, Taiwan is here with Penghu Archipelago, and then there's a bunch of islands and seamounts that connect Taiwan to the northern Philippines there, like Luzon or whatever that is, whatever island that is. And then this is all the Philippines here. This is why it's the most corrupt country in the world, because, like, you can't really have much centralized authority over so many little islands. So everybody just gets their cut locally or something. But anyways, then this is Sulawesi, Indonesia, which is the site of the oldest paintings like this on Earth, I'm pretty sure. Like the oldest cave paintings are here. And they are basically the same type of thing, but I haven't fully deciphered them yet. So yeah, that this would be, it's especially important to zoom in to see the head, because the head here is not as visible in some of these images if you don't zoom in on it. So yeah, this is this guy. Kind of want to come up with a name for him or something, or her or it or whatever. Sulawesi, and so these are Pokemons, these are found smoke on this. So yeah, like in this is the ancient Egyptian depiction of Australia and Papua. But in this one, Papua is faced the other way. So I guess maybe this one is prograde. This is the Book of Two Ways of Sepi, I believe. Yeah. So in this, I guess everything is prograde. Whereas in the Book of Two Ways of Jehudi Hotep, it's like the Lascaux where Australia is prograde and everything else is retrograde. This is, I guess, basically I decided to flip it and just have, let's see. I mean, technically in this, Australia is retrograde and everything else is prograde. So maybe that's what it is. But yeah, basically Australia is one orientation and everything around it is the opposite. So this is, not how Australia looks. This is Australia flipped. So the peninsulas, York, Cape York is up here with the horns being, the Great Barrier Reef, and his bent knee and legs seeming to be this, Cobourg Peninsula and maybe the Tiwi Islands. And then he's holding Sulawesi, the part that is that other god's front haunches or whatever. And then here is, Kalimantan, Kalimantan, which is this huge island. It's like we'd never hear about Kalimantan, but like you could fit Britain into here like 20 times probably. And then Philippines, Papua, and New Zealand. So at least from my perspective, these or let me see. Yeah, maybe these are retrograde. Maybe the whole thing is retrograde. Yeah. Yeah, I think this comparison was a bust. This was like an early comparison that I screwed up, I'm pretty sure. So maybe my theory is wrong. Maybe everything is either prograde or retrograde in all of these, but certainly not at Lascaux. At Lascaux, it's more like the ancient Egyptian depiction of the Azores, Atlantis, where Pico is prograde and everything else is retrograde. Pico being the highest peak of the Azores, Atlantis. All right, so yeah, this is maybe an early one that I fucked up, and I put them all